I am Sam Motton, and it is just about 1 week away from the release of Deadpool, which will kick off a very strong year for comic book movies in 2016. In fact, I think 2016 has a very good chance of becoming the best ever year for comic book movies, beating out even 2008, which I'd say is the best one before now. 2008, we had The Dark Knight, greatest comic book movie ever, I think, and also had kicking off the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron Man and the Hulk, Incredible Hulk. So 2016, though, I think can top that. It will definitely top it in terms of number of comic book movies. We've got 7 of them coming up. So what I'm going to do in this video is give my predictions for the box office totals worldwide for these movies. So this is what I've gleaned thinking about past performance and looking at the schedules and what they're going to be competing against. So let's start with Deadpool. That's coming out. There's a lot of buzz. It's very high for this movie, but I have a feeling that that buzz is largely from a very committed, very strong, and internet savvy group of Deadpool fans. I'm not quite sure if that buzz is going to transfer throughout the general population. So I have predicted for Deadpool a worldwide box office total of $430 million. I have that being a little bit higher than Kingsman's $414 million. Kingsman was also rated R and released about the same time of the year, just almost exactly the same time of the year, actually. But I think Deadpool will be hurt a little bit by its R rating. It means you're not going to have families going out to see it. I think a lot of the older generation is probably not going to be that interested in it, so that'll cut in. Also, it's not going to be able to show in China. And it has some competition with the Gods of Egypt coming out. So some people might be thinking Deadpool is going to be going past 500 million. I'm going to put it at 430 million, which I think is still good. And if you think about the fact that this budget was pretty low, that'll make it a very big hit and big moneymaker for the studio. Next up is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is my most highly anticipated movie of the year. I've been really excited about this movie ever since I was on the set in Detroit and got to see the first glimpses of Bruce Wayne and got to see the footage of the little girl. But I think this movie is going to be good. I like what I've seen so far. I think it's going to be really smart and philosophical, and I like that kind of stuff being woven into the comic book movies and the action. So I'm putting Batman v Superman at a strong showing of $1.25 billion, which has it just beating out Iron Man 3. I'm really hoping that Batman v Superman is going to be better than Iron Man 3, and so hopefully it can beat Iron Man 3 at the box office. I don't think that Batman v Superman will catch the Avengers movies, but it will be clearly past the 1 billion mark in my prediction. I think it's going to be helped by the fact that it pretty much has 4 full weeks to itself with no direct competition. And right in those 4 weeks is a lot of spring breaks at the colleges. So I think you're going to get a lot of college students that are going to be able to go. It's going to be a big activity. You know, you have the weekend and the week of spring break. Go see the movie. Go see it again. Bring some friends. And I think Batman v Superman will have a broad appeal to kids being able to come to it, and I think even older generation being curious to see how it plays out. The buzz is very strong already, and so there's these good indicators that it has in terms of making predictions for it. So that's where I'm going to stand with that one. Next up is Captain America: Civil War. I'm going to put that one at $960 million, so not quite reaching a billion, which might surprise some people because a lot of people are thinking of this basically as Avengers 3, and if it's an Avengers movie, it should be easily past 1 billion. I'm actually thinking of this as a very successful Captain America film, boosted by the fact that Iron Man is in it. And the previous Avenger films, the first one made 370 million, Winter Soldier made 714 million. So I'm saying that this one easily clears Winter Soldier, which was a big hit. So this one is, more than 200 million past Winter Soldier, but not quite in Avengers territory. And the reason I think that it's held back from a billion is just a little bit of fallout from Age of Ultron, which was good, but not a great movie. And I think maybe people are going to get a little bit overwhelmed with so many characters coming in, and there might just be this little bit of fatigue, not general fatigue of comic book movies, but maybe just a little bit of Marvel fatigue of all these characters, and now that there's so many other options, it might hold it back just slightly. Again, still a very big hit. I also am thinking that Batman v Superman might benefit from coming first, because if the general public that doesn't think a lot about these comic book movies or know all the background, there might be people in the general public that think, hey, Batman and Superman, they had this tension and this competition between heroes. So we just saw that already. Now, Civil War, it's another story of this competition between heroes. So some people might see Batman v Superman as kind of the original and Civil War being sort of a little bit of a mimicry, which I know that's not the case, but there might be some people in the general public that see it that way. Moving on to X-Men Apocalypse. This one's going to have some summer competition going on, especially it's going to have to follow after Captain America Civil War, so if Civil War is a big hit, it might be hard to have two big hits right back to back. So I think that might hold it back a little bit. I'm going to say 670 million for X-Men Apocalypse. That puts it not quite to the numbers that Days of Future Past did, but I think it's just going to be the competition and the fact that there are so many comic book movies this year. It might just hold Apocalypse back a little bit. There's also been some mixed reaction to the things coming out for it so far, so that might hold it back. But again, $670 million is very successful, so this is not a bomb at all. This is a very successful movie, but maybe just not quite reaching the level of Days of Future Past. Moving on to one that's a comic book movie that sometimes people forget is a comic book movie, but that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. So this is the sequel to the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was kind of a surprise hit, making $490 million worldwide. This one, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a family affair where I think there will be, the younger generation that's getting hooked on the Nickelodeon show will come out to see this one. But I don't think it reaches the numbers that the first one did. I think this comes in at about 390 million. So it's maybe something like breaking even. Maybe it's making a little bit of money, but not a lot. It also has competition with X-Men, and it's going to have competition with Independence Day. So I think this Turtles one is not quite a big hit, but I think it does okay. Suicide Squad is next up, kind of finishing off the summer, and I think Suicide Squad is going to do very well. It's got the Joker, played by an Academy Award-winning actor. I'm really fascinated by what he's doing with the character. It's got the first live-action Harley Quinn, and it has Will Smith, so that brings some name recognition even for people that maybe aren't huge comic book people. I also think Suicide Squad's going to breathe in some new air, some new life to comic book movies because I think it's going to have a different style, using the villains and this kind of bad versus evil instead of good versus evil. It has really strong buzz. I mean, even just a couple weeks out from Deadpool's release, Suicide Squad actually had the most buzz on Facebook and was really high according to the social media indicators. So I think that's going to do pretty well. The other thing is looking at the schedule for Suicide Squad. It has Star Trek Beyond just being released a little bit before Suicide Squad, but then after Suicide Squad, it's pretty open for about 3 weeks. So I think Suicide Squad can kind of finish off the summer as like the last blockbuster hit for the summer. 700 million's maybe a little bit ambitious, but I'm hopeful for it, and I think it can maybe hit that number if it's high quality. Last up in the fall, we've got Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange is going to do just fine. But I'm going to put it at 470 million, so that's a good moneymaker, but not like a runaway hit. I'm using kind of Ant-Man as a little bit of an indicator, even though Ant-Man was a summer movie. I think it's similar where it has a lesser-known comic book character, but a well-known star. So Ant-Man had Paul Rudd, and Doctor Strange has Benedict Cumberbatch. So Ant-Man came in at 519 million. I'm going to put Doctor Strange just a little bit lower than that, 470 million. It might just be getting to the end of the year. People might be gearing up for Star Wars and stuff instead of another comic book movie because they've hopefully had their fill of comic book movies in the early spring and summer. So that's the full set. I'm not predicting any bombs. I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles could be at risk for bomb, but I really have this full slate, and when I can't really see any of them bombing. But I probably have overestimated things in general because the way I have it laid out, this would be $4.87 billion worldwide for comic book movies in 2016. I think that number's probably too high. 2015, we only had $2.5 billion, although that was only on 4 movies. But I'm not sure if comic book movies can actually bring in $4.87 billion. So it might be that I just need to decrease all of these movies or all of these estimates. Or it might be that there is a bomb or two hidden in here, and I've just given them all the benefit of the doubt. But hopefully they all work out. Hopefully they're all strong, and they continue the comic book movies genre going forward.